likes to argue and delights in talking. He thinks that we, naive believers as we are, feed on illusions and miss the pleasures and attractions of this world, beguiling ourselves with paradise and houris. He studied in France, where he got a PhD degree, consorted with hippies, and came to disbelieve in everything. He addressed me sarcastically. You say that God exists. The chief among your proofs is the law of causation, which stipulates that every artifact, creature, or existent must have been brought into being by a maker, creator, or efficient cause. A piece of fabric points to the weaver, a painting to the painter, an engraving to the engraver. The universe, according to this logic, is the most cogent proof of puissant God who created it. Granted that we believe in this creator, aren't we entitled, according to the same logic, to ask, who created the creator? Who created that God you talk about? Doesn't your own reasoning and in keeping with the same law of causation lead you to this question? Now, what have you to say about this dilemma? I replied to him by making clear that his question was meaningless. There is no dilemma or anything of that sort. You grant that God is a creator, and then you ask about who created him, making him both creator and created in the same sentence, which is a contradiction. The other side of your question's meaninglessness is that you imagine the creator as being subject to the laws which govern his creatures. Causation is a law for us who live in space and time. God, who created space and time, is necessarily transcendent in relation to both, and it is an error on our part to think that he is bound either by them or by their laws. It is God who created the law of causation, and we cannot consider him as subject to the law he created. In this sophistry of yours you are like those dolls that, seeing they move by springs, imagine that the human who made them must also derive his motion from the action of springs. If they were told that he is self-moved, they would retort that it is impossible for anything to move spontaneously, since everything in their world is moved by a spring, just like them. You cannot imagine that God exists in his own essence with no need of an efficient cause, and this is because you see everything around you in need of such a cause. It is as if you thought that God needs a parachute to descend among men or a fast car to reach his profits. God is infinitely exalted above such conception. The German philosopher Immanuel Kant realized, in his critique of pure reason, that the mind cannot comprehend infinite realities, and that it is by nature fitted only to apprehend particulars. It is incapable of apprehending such a universal or total existence as that of the divinity. God was known by conscience, not by reason, just as our thirst for water is a proof that it exists. Our yearning for justice is proof to us that a just being exists. Aristotle followed the chain of causality, tracing the chair from wood, wood from the tree from a seed, and the seed from the planter. He had to conclude that this chain, which regresses into infinite time, must have begun with an uncaused cause, a primitive mobile in no need of a mover, a creator who has not been created. This is the same thing we assert of God. From another quarter, Ibn Arabi, the Muslim mystic, replied to the question as to who made the creator by saying that it can only occur to a disordered mind. According to him, it is God that substantiates existence, and it would be erroneous to point to existence or their universe as a proof of God. This is the same as saying that light indicates day, and it would be lopsided argument to claim that day proves the existence of light. God says in a divine utterance, Hadith Qudsi, "It is I who aids in proving and finding. There is no proof leading to me. God is the proof which is in no need of another proof. He is the self-evident truth. He is manifest in order, precision, beauty, and regularity. In tree leaves, in the feathers of a fawn, in the wings of the butterfly, in the fragrance of flowers, in the chanting of the nightingale, in the harmony of planets and stars which makes up that symphonic poem we call the universe. If we allege that all this came into being by chance, We would be like a person who believes that blowing up the types of a press into space can result in the spontaneous assembly into an authorless Shakespearean sonnet. The Quran spares us all these arguments with a few expressive words. It says without sophistry and in a decisive clarity, say that God is one, the eternal. He begot none, nor was he begotten. None is equal to him. My friend continued to question me in his sarcastic tone. Why do you say that? God is one. Why shouldn't there be many gods sharing the work among themselves? I chose to reply to him not with the aid of the Quran, but with the logic he accepts. That is science. My answer was that God is one because the entire universe is built out of one material and according to a unified plan. The 92 elements in the Mendeleev table are built from hydrogen, and in the same manner in which stars and sun flame up in space, namely, by fusion and the emission of atomic energy.